There we go. Hello and welcome. It's Mike OSR Power Dude.
2021,
Yay! I survived 2020.
Yep.
And all I got was a shitload of RPG books I have yet to read.
And almost died. Almost died 3 times. And I survived. I survived 2020 and I gained 20 pounds. Yeah, boo. Not good. Geez. Not good. No.
Not good. We got to have you around for a nice long time.
Yeah. Well, I got a plan. My wife and I talked about it tonight. We got a plan going because let's just say I don't want to get too crazy, but I got to lose 20 pounds to get to 300. That's not good. That's very bad. So just to get down to 300 pounds, I got to lose 20 pounds though, because I gained 20 pounds this year. I was flirting with 300 pounds before the COVID, and I didn't just flirt. I basically made full blown love to 300, and so that's why I'm at 320. I didn't just flirt at that point. I stopped flirting and just went full bangaroni.
You embraced it? Well,
yeah, I embraced it, and we made love with hamburgers and takeout food all year long, and here I am sitting at 320.
Well, I hit 293 in May, but I will say at least that was 60 pounds of water.
Yes,
and I wasn't pregnant. I didn't pop out a kid.
But that you know of.
Yeah. Here, anonymous Facebook user.
Hello, Facebook user.
You have to give Facebook either permission to share who you are, or you're gonna have to type at the end of your comment who you are, or view using YouTube, and we don't have that issue. But no, I'm not. I'll complain about all my RPG books. I even got another one today.
But not only that, but you have to let us who you are, because we're giving away more free money tonight.
Oh yeah,
more free money.
If we haven't stated yet, you're watching Talking Crit.
Yes.
With Bad Mike and
we don't know what we're doing here. We have no clue.
No idea.
We're modeling.
If you're listening, it is part of the Tavern Chat live stream, or the Tavern Chat podcast. We're going to be doing apparently multiple live streams.
Ooh.
Yes. We're going to have Wednesday night live streams, which we've been having now for a couple of months with Mike and myself. And Joe and I are doing every second and fourth Friday of the month. And then Glenn Hallstrom and myself are going to be doing
that guy. Oh man,
yes. I have to bring
that guy.
Yeah, that guy, Old Man Grognard. Oh. You probably know him best for Thako's Hammer. He's the one with the real voice for.
He's got not just a radio voice, he has an acting voice, because he's an actor too, because he's got that voice that comes all the way down from here.
Yes, he can really project.
Yes.
I can't. I can just do funny voices.
I sound like a girl, yeah.
Nothing
wrong with that.
I'm going to have to say hi to Eric, Paul, David, and David. We got 2 Davids. Oh my God.
Oh, David, David, you got your stuff, right? Oh, it's Paul. Paul's Facebook user. And Eric is Facebook user. Oh, we got David got some freebies last time. Frog God, courtesy of Frog God. I think everybody's got their Frog God freebies. I've been pretty good about sending those out the next day. And so since Eric's giving away money, we will be giving away Frog God freebies tonight also. So
yeah, I mean, my day was a long day. I drove out to the Poconos with my father and my wife, Rach. So that was about 2.5 hours out. Hung out at the house for about an hour, looking at the work they had done in the kitchen, which is beautiful work that they had done. As COVID kicked off, of course. So I hadn't gotten up there to see it. But we wanted to check on the house, make sure there's enough fuel, check on the mouse traps, because seasonal mouse issues, and then literally just turned it around and came back to New York. So lots of driving today. So I am behind on the last 2 days of OSR Christmas. If you wait, and I'll probably hit some stuff tonight. The rest of the stuff will probably hit tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a big day of catch up for me, because it's just it literally has been that kind of a year. It's not a bad year. compared to 2020, 2021 is looking up so fucking much.
We have vaccines going out. Dallas and Tarrant County. I'm on the list, but I'm looking, and I don't think I'm going to wait in a 300-person line. So I may not get my vaccination till March. I could go earlier, but honestly, there's not one thing in the world I hate worse than waiting in line for anything. I mean, my wife and I will walk up to a restaurant, and if there's 3 people in line, we walk away. That's how bad we are about lines. We do not like lines. So, and the lines at Tarrant County for the vaccine are literally 300 people long. I'm like, you have a better chance catching COVID in the line waiting to get the COVID vaccine than you do just getting it, just isolating myself. So I may wait a little while on that one, but yeah, they got the vaccines going on around here. So I'm pretty optimistic about 2021.
Like I said, 2021 on that front is certainly looking up. On other fronts, but I mean, Rach is in the mental health field, so she got notified yesterday that she could put herself on the list today, and on Sunday she gets her first shot of the vaccine. So, and my parents have been getting calls from their health insurance that they are eligible because they're over 75. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I'm sure I'm looking at it in a month or two because I am currently high risk. But if you immunize the rest of my family that I live with, these are the 3 people I shared this two-family home with. Mm-hmm. If they're all vaccinated, it makes my life so much
yeah. Safer. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm hoping for, too. You get the herd immunity effect there when everybody around you, especially they're doing a really good job in Dallas-Fort Worth of immunizing all healthcare and first responders. So that's great. Once we get those guys, all the doctors and nurses and healthcare and firemen and police officers and everybody done, then that I would have to think every little bit's going to help, and then that way they can't catch it. Are you talking to me or Eric? Are you talking to me or Eric? Because we both have scraggly excuses for beards.
My beard. Hey, Epi. My beard, which oh my God, I've been growing this shit in now since 2016. So it's going to be 5 years soon.
Yeah, that's pretty scraggly then for a 5-year
beard.
Well,
here's the problem. It's so fucking gray. It doesn't really show up. My hair, when I cut my hair, it comes out and just like it looks like it has color now, but it comes out and it's just my beard has density.
Look at it this way. I'm a little older than you. Just look at everything that happens to me and realize that's your destiny in about 2 to 3 years. Because same thing happened. All the gray, boom, look at this thing. This turned gray the last 5 years. This is all gray up here. It's
but it doesn't look gray when it's on my head as much as when you cut it, and then it just. But yeah, I wanted to grow the man ponytail. That was my goal, and I tried it for like 6 months when I retired. Yeah, and then I realized that I was just looking like
only marginally better than the man bun. Yeah,
I was looking like an unkempt hippie, and.
New York has enough of a homeless problem. They don't need you to be LARPing homeless.
I didn't need to add to it. I mean, even with my hair not quite that horrible, I was being offered senior discounts at when I was taking my
you didn't ask for mine. Dang it. I forgot to ask mine for tonight, too. Schlotsky's has a senior discount. I absolutely forgot. So anyway, all personal aside, we're here talk gaming in 2021. I had thrown out a couple of topics, a couple of things I wanted to cover. And since we don't have a guest this week, although we are pretty firm on a guest next week that I want to make sure we're 100% firm on before we announce it.
Well, here, we can just say in the future, we are sure you will see X and maybe Y.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, we do have Skeeter Green on the schedule, and he has said he can't wait to come on our show. Skeeter's awesome. Awesome dude. He does the GDZ podcast with Zach, but Zach's been blue balling him lately. So he's been doing it by himself. So we have offered to do a simulcast since he tried to steal our night and he's moved to Wednesday nights. So in the future, we will have Skeeter. And we've got a couple other people, don't we? You talked to Is Tim a
Tim Schwartz? I've spoken to Tim about stealing Tim for Joe and I because we gamed with him, but you've never actually got the chance to.
Nope.
All right, we got.
I have not.
We're gonna have to like make Tim. He's gonna be a hot commodity. We'll have to bounce him between the two. But
yes, we have a list we're working off of. We got a few people here. If anybody wants to see somebody, let us know, because if you just go the people that Eric and I know, we can hit a ton of people. But these are people that we know. We would like, if you want to get us out of we talked last year about getting out of our comfort zone a little bit and having people that we don't personally know. And so,
don't personally like Ken Whitman? No. And there's a couple of reasons.
By the way, I'd love to have Ken on the show. It'd be hilarious for me. But
it would actually, it would be. Because I would just go. So Ken, I'm still waiting for the FBI to show up at my house. Whatever happened to that? Did you misplace your imaginary FBI? Because I had my imaginary donuts and coffee waiting for them, and they just never showed up.
See, this is an attempt to draw you off sides, and it works because all you have to do is mention the devil's name, and he appears. So Facebook user random guys, hello Sean, you succeeded. You drew Eric off sides by just throwing out the Ken's name. So congratulations, good job.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying
we have an expanded ensemble that we're working on.
Yeah,
we have a lot of. I'd love to be on your show, but not a commitment as to exactly when.
We do.
Or we have people that we know we've spoken to in the past before we had the show, and they were always like, "Oh, I love doing podcasts. I'd love to be on it. If you guys," and we know that we can have them, but the whole thing is hitting the time and saying, "All right, let's do this." And of course, we got to work for the TotalCon schedule because we're going to have 4 nights.
That's the last week in February. I think last weekend.
Second to last.
Second to last. I'm sorry.
So
look at my calendar here. I have a calendar this year. Yes, you're right. Second to last weekend. We're definitely. So I'm on the TotalCon website, and the only guests so far are Frog God Games people: Matt Finch, Zach Glazer, and Bill Webb. So we may be Frog God all the time. No, certainly there'll be more guests by then. But yes, those are all people we can definitely have. Zach Glazer's attention whore. He'll come on here whenever. Of course, we'd love to talk to Matt or Bill if they want to come on too. But yeah, we're going to try to do. Hopefully, we'll be able to expand a little more. Hopefully, TotalCon's guest list will expand in the next month, and we'll be able to pick from some more people. But we have a list. That's one thing about going to cons like Eric and I have the last few years, and just being involved in me running a con is you do run it. You do meet all these people, and they kind. Yeah, and so that's great because you become pals with some of them. And you're like, hey, I can count on you to come on the show. Like, yeah, no problem. And so some of them better than others. Obviously, some become some are just people you shake hands with and say hi to at cons, and then other people you actually talk to off the air. And I mean, it's just funny because I give a million examples, but I can call up Alan Hammock now and talk to him. I mean,
right?
Can you imagine telling me that in 1980? Like, yo. You know what? You'll be able just to be on a first name basis with Alan. Alan, just call Al up and just talk about something. I mean, that's just nuts. That's nuts. But yeah, that's how luckily we have these connections now, so we could get some of these people on. Which, by the way, Mr. Hammock, I'm hoping we can get him on. He's an absolute hoot. Hopefully, we can get him on next. But yeah, we got some pretty good people to choose from. But if you have any ideas, oh gosh, Kevin Symbieta, no, we're not going to deal with that.
No, Kevin would never say yes to me. I covered I'd be like, so Kevin, about the Robotech Tactics game that people got fucked over on. Mike, who we should try to get on the show, if only because. He's actually called me on my cell phone, and I didn't even realize who it was for the first 30 seconds because I heard the name. I said, "What's my son's name?" And I don't know too many people named Chris, but this isn't my son. So who the fuck is this? And I was driving at the time. Chris Clark.
Oh, Chris Clark would be great. Yeah, he would definitely come on. He's He owes me money anyway. No, I'm just kidding. No, Chris is great too, and he would, yeah, he'd be awesome. There's guys like that we know that would, some people you're like, okay, do you really want to have this guy on the show? I mean, I know Errol Otis really well. I don't think he would fit on the show very good because he knows nothing about anything current going on in gaming. That guy has his own little world. He's awesome, but he is not, and he's very introverted. Great guy, but we want to have the guys that are going to get out there and just, and just light it up. Like, oh, by the way, and happy birthday to Skeeter Green. Today's his birthday, I believe today's his birthday.
I didn't think Skeeter got birthdays. I just thought he was. He was hacked for something. And that was that was Skeeter. Liz Danforth. I don't know Liz personally. I do know a number of the people involved with Tunnels and Trolls on different levels, and we do reach out to each other back and forth. Maybe we can knock something down from there at some point. That would be actually anyone from Gamma's Hall of Fame. You know what? I'd actually have to see who's on Gamma's Hall of Fame.
I'm looking it up right now.
I thought a lot of them were deceased, so I don't know how that's going to help us.
Probably.
Let's see what else here. Steve or David Chenault. You know what?
Chenault's be great. Yeah.
I would love to talk with the Chenaults, and I would love. I don't need strict details, but I'd love to get some of the backstory as to how they became the saviors of the Gold Piece Productions dungeon from Benoit and Ernie, because they literally are the saviors of that. I'd love to get a little bit of the backstory. Usually with that stuff, you're not going to get the full backstory, but I'd love to get little bits and pieces that you might hear at a convention. So that would be spot on.
Most of this guest list, I know a lot of these people. Janelle Jaquays, Monty Cook. Gosh, I mean, some of these people I don't know. Lisa Stevens, Jonathan Tweet. There's Ken St. Andre. I didn't know he was in the Hall of Fame, Gamma Hall of Fame. Jolly Blackburn. Jolly would be fun to have on. R.A. Salvador.
Jolly would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. John Kovalik, Peter Atkinson. These are out. David Cook. These guys are out of our price range. Margaret Weiss. I'd love to. Tracy Hickman. Yeah, sure. Tracy, come on. Larry Elmore. Larry Elmore would be greght.
Jeff Grubb here. I'll throw my hat in the ring.
Oh, we get Jeff. Yeah, that'd be great.
If you want to see me speechless in my, on my own show, let's get Jeff Grubb, and I can reenact North Texas RPG Con from like 5 years ago.
By the way, Jeff gave me a shout out this week too, so I was feeling good about myself. I forgot he was one of the judges this year on the Three Castles Award. The annual OSR award we give out, and he pimped the award on his page and pimped our con. So we were going to have him at the con this year until COVID. So hopefully, that's what I'm hoping with all the vaccines going out. The most vulnerable members of society are pretty much most of the people on our special guest list. So I'm hoping if they're first in line to get their shots, which they should be, they'll be ready to roll by June. That should be great. So yeah, hopefully Jeff will be ready to come back to the con at some point. So
Fannin, better than Sean Fannin, which I'm sure. And just don't get me wrong, I get along well with Sean now, but we had a bit of a tiffing history, and I'm sure, knowing our audience, in the live chat they'd be like, ask him about.
I would have no problem having Sean Patrick Fannin. By the way, if he wanted to come on, I would have no problem with Sean. We don't talk. The thing is, we don't do politics or stuff like that. We just talk current events anyway. So we can have these people that may be quote unquote controversial. They're not really controversial for us because we're not going to cover any controversial subjects except that what did Watsy fuck up this week and that stuff like that. I mean, it's. So yeah, a lot of those guys we don't have to ask the quote unquote uncomfortable questions because that's not what we're about. We're about just sitting here talking gaming, talking what what's going on in the industry and just what's your experience with this. This happened, what do you think's going on over here? And that's all we do. So
if we did get him, I don't want anybody in the fucking peanut gallery going, "Hey, can you talk to us about how iconic Garasharka is in the industry?" Because that might just be uncomfortable. And that might not be good.
We don't do uncomfortable. We're very comfortable. We don't do uncomfortable.
Well, that's why we both.
Unless you're somebody that's fucking around in the game industry, then we're just going to laugh at you
and make fun of you and encourage others to do so too.
Sure. Speaking of which, we had a fun Facebook post we found this week. That Eric posted about.
I almost did a spit take on my keyboard, and it's bad enough that my cat grew up on it.
We always wonder what happens to Ken because we don't hear about Ken anymore. Ken's got a low profile, baby. He is low profile at this point.
Yes. So this was Marcus King. Now, I actually had more than one person reach out to me and say, "Is Marcus King one of the alts for Ken?"
No, he's a real human being.
He's been
in the game industry for a long time.
Yes.
He used to sell on eBay quite a bit. I don't think he does eBay as much as he used to. For a long time. We're talking 20 years ago. He's been in the industry a long, long time. Marcus King has.
And Marcus in the past has mentioned why he has such an affinity for our favorite, my favorite grifter. Alleged grifter. Sorry, alleged. I want to put that word alleged in.
A lot of us.
Ken's threatened me with so many legal actions.
Oh boy.
In the past. I'm sure he's waiting for another chance. So I can say that Ken is an alleged thief and alleged scammer and alleged grifter.
Just put alleged in there. We're okay.
But personally, I think he's a fucking asshole. I don't need to put allegedly on that one. That's my personal opinion.
There you go.
Doesn't hold much weight. But this is from Mark. Again, Mike was nice enough to point this out to me. Mike made my 2021 with this one, Mike.
Well, thank you.
This is the most humorous bullshit that I've read all year. So to close out 2020, because you want to close out on a high note, Marcus wrote the following: December 31st, 2020, 6:54 p.m. So he could have been in his bottle.
I'm thinking, that could be an early New Year's Eve celebration post. I'm hoping.
Okay, so and by the way, if you are under the age of 18, close your ears for a second. This is what I refer to jerking somebody off. All right. Seldom do I have a conversation with someone who is clearly more knowledgeable on a topic, any topic than I. So now you're talking about how fucking amazing you are. And now, because you're fucking amazing, you're that 165 IQ, you're going to now make somebody 166 IQ. I can hold my own is what I'm saying. Tonight, I had a 2-hour conversation with, not Ken, by the way, because
Ken no longer exists. Ken's gone. We have Whit Whitman now.
Ken probably has multiple lawsuits against him. So that alias must leave. And he was telling me about things which I had literally no concept of. Now, we could delve into what that could possibly be. Scamming on Kickstarters, possibly, could be a topic that could have come up. How to, I don't know, run a print-on-demand company and be unable to actually deliver books in a timely fashion that can stand up to being opened up. How to allegedly have a license for a collectible card game that may or may not have been built on a franchise that is Scottish in nature, with immortals with swords, and print your own rares. Mm-hmm. You have the license, but you print your own rares.
Sure.
So now you can sell the rares in a secondary market because you're making as many rares as you want. You didn't put them in packs, right? Not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying I have heard such stories, so it is alleged. But I was impressed with his immersive knowledge and vision. Now, if you were not scared right now, I'm scared. Okay. Now I'm going to turn like Mario. I'm scared when he says immersive knowledge and vision, because that means, to my eyes, that Ken has a new project that he plans on coming up with.
Mm-hmm. And he pitched it to Marcus, and Marcus said, "That's the most amazing idea I've ever heard of. That'll work, Whit."
Yeah.
Ken,
by the way, just so you all know, when Ken made when Ken made the claim, he didn't even. When Ken said, not necessarily under oath, but on his Kickstarter page, said, "Hey, I'm cranking out pencils. Literally, I got a pencil press. Didn't know they made those, but he had a pencil press to press in the dice numbers on his pencils." And Marcus was like, "Yes, I bought it for him so he can fulfill his Kickstarter." Nobody got those fucking pencils. But in any case, Marcus says, "I gained IQ points from this conversation. Not since maybe grade school did I learn so much in one day." So apparently, Marcus has not done much learning since 6th grade. Maybe he did not progress on to high school. Maybe he did not go on to, finishing his primary education. Damn, dude, thanks for the schooling. And of course, my favorite part of this whole thing: no Whitman bashing on my wall. Thanks for being my friend, dude. Holy shit. What a wank fest, man. Oh my God. I'm sorry, but you can't. I mean, it's bad enough when Ken tells stories about himself to make himself look great and amazing. And how he ran Gen Con, and how Gen Con is the success it is now because of Ken's amazing work back in the aughts. But no, Ken, I don't think that was you.
Yep.
So I've been neglecting the comments, by the way.
I don't, Marcus, this kind of thing. I just roll my eyes because this is, it's usually the look. It's just business as usual for everybody involved. And this kind of thing I look at, laugh at, and scroll on. It just doesn't even affect me anymore because I'm like, Ken's delusional if he thinks he's ever going to get a foot back in this industry again. Marcus is delusional if he thinks that, he's going to help Ken ever again. I don't know. I mean, unless he's auctioning off stuff on Marcus's auctions, he's not going to get back in this industry unless it's even if an alias, the guy's not get back in the industry. Everybody knows what he looks like and who he is at this point. He's not sneaking back in. So
he's too big to sneak back in. That's the thing. Yeah. Ken's a big fucking guy. Now, the recent brouhaha over Ken was Ken announcing that he miraculously found the missing footage for the Knights at the Dinner Table live action series, and he was looking for Jolly and Company at Kenzer to renew his license, to give him a new license to produce the Knights at the Dinner Table live action series, so he could deliver the package that he promised. Now, I'm going to spitball this. I'm going to make a hypothetical, but follow me here. Hypothetically, Ken has never promised to do anything that wasn't going to benefit him. So if he was going to be doing this project, you can be damn well sure he planned on making new money off it because all the old money was pissed away. But he'd already claimed in court that it went up in smoke or flames when his friend's barn burned down when a cow knocked over the lantern. Oh wait, that was Chicago. But in any case, I venture off too far. But so Ken claimed that he had the video. Well, apparently, my understanding is he did not find the high quality video. He found the low quality. I'm editing shit on my iPad, version. So he did not find anything that Jolly and Co. didn't already have. So I have not heard anything about Ken getting a license. So who knows what this new alleged scam is going to be? I don't. Bob, what did you miss?
Look,
Uh, I'm
honestly,
ranting about Ken Whitman.
at this point, I mean, Ken's done something I could never do. He's been in a few TV shows as a background actor because he's a big mean looking dude. Why not just roll with that? You could work for a long time being the big mean dude in the back of any number of TV shows. Just do that. Stay away from gaming industry. We don't want you back. You can't get back anyway. I mean, just go off and be the big mean dude in the back of NCIS and Law and Order, whatever. The non-speaking roles, of course. That's all he's ever had, and just do that. And, collect a few bucks here and there, and that would be a perfectly good career.
He was the security guard suit in the MacGyver reboot, one of the episodes.
See, there you go.
That gets teased and put down, which I hate to say.
That's something you and I are never going to do. That that's something he's done that we're never going to do. We're never going to be background in a major network show. So just go do that. Go. That seems like something you'd be good at. Go do that. Go be in the background of Walking Dead. I don't know what else he did. He did a couple of little cameo things. Go do that and just wander around Hollywood for a while, and maybe somebody will see you and you'll be the background of Eddie Murphy movie or something. You'll be standing there looking mean,
Maybe talking.
That's your talent. That seems to be your talent. That's a great, that's more than I could ever do because I don't ever want to do that. So you can do that. I don't have the size or the gravitas to do that. And then maybe you can scam somebody in Hollywood. Hollywood is filled with really stupid people. One of my best friends that I grew up with is an attorney, and he lives in LA. And every once in a while when he comes back in town, he tells me the stories about how absolutely moronic most actors are and actresses. I mean, we're talking, 80 IQ at the, some are smart. Now, we're not saying all actors are stupid, but a lot of them are really, really stupid. You could get hooked on with one of those. Maybe get a security detail job or, you never know. My youngest brother worked at a cigar company called Lone Wolf Cigars that was owned by Jim Belushi and Chuck Norris and another actor I can't remember. And they're perfectly great guys, but the people they had working for them were basically one level above Ken Whitman in terms of being scammers and sleazy human beings. I mean,
one level above, is that one level worse?
Well, they would wear a suit. I mean, yeah. Well, no, they were like they would like yeah, they were a little better. They had one. I can't remember if it was Chuck Norris's or Jim Belushi's promotional agent, but he would walk into the cigar company and just fill his pockets with cigars and leave. I mean, and they go, we need to know you don't really have what. I mean, this isn't a free cigar store for the employees of people who work for Jim Belushi and Chuck Norris. And he would come in, this guy that probably made, I don't know, $500,000 a year, maybe $1 million a year. He felt like it was his right to go into the cigar store, fill his pockets with cigars, and walk out and say, "Thanks, guys. See you later. See you next month."
So, really, is there any difference between that and like printing your own rares of Highlander cards? Oops.
Well, he wore a suit. And drove a nice car. I don't think Ken did that. So that's what I'm saying. He's one step above. Ken
drove a nice car when it got loaned to him as a test drive for, he claims, for like 3 weeks before he had to get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so these
back years.
Go to Hollywood, you'll fit in perfectly well. That they're all backstabber, liars, weirdos. That's going to be that sounds like a great career for you, man. Go do that, and please leave us alone. We have enough problems in the gaming industry. Actually, the gaming industry right now doesn't necessarily have a lot of problems. I mean, the worst problems we have are WotC doing dumb things. If that's the worst the gaming industry got right now, hey, that's not too bad.
And I think WotC is kind of learning that their best way to not fuck things up is to keep their mouths shut. And just...
Well, it's the holidays. Not a lot's going on over the holidays. We're looking at. It's going to be an interesting year because you're looking for a soft reopen of most conventions, and I think they're being very cautious about what conventions they're going to appear at, what they're going to run games at or tournaments at. So they're being real quiet right now. They probably got a lot of plans. I'm sure they have tons of plans for 2021. But a lot of these companies, they use conventions. This is how they promote their work. And without any conventions in 2020, it was tough for companies, even a company as big as WotC, to really, get a lot of buzz going for a lot of their stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really a big deal to these companies when conventions come back, because that's when you start talking about stuff. That's when you start playing the games. That's when they start getting feedback about their games. That's when you're able to, Eric's been to conventions like me a lot. You can get a lot of feel for what's going on by just walking a convention floor and seeing what's selling out, what people are talking about. I mean, just walk in the convention, the floor in the vendor room, and just talk to the different people. You'll figure out what's. I mean, that's how we first knew that Pathfinder 2.0 was a disaster because
that Starfinder.
Starfinder even before that, yeah.
Yeah, Starfinder before that, you heard people going, I opened this book up and what? This is not what I feel like I didn't say robbed, they didn't say gypped, but they did not feel like they were getting the value that they expected from it. And I think that covered over to Pathfinder 2.
And the same thing, we have Pathfinder 2.0. We were at GaryCon the year they did the test. The test run of Path 2.0, and people were coming to the vendor room going, well, if I wanted to play 5e, I'd just play 5e. This is terrible. And we're like, really? Whoa, hey. And so that's when we first heard that, doesn't sound good. The first returns were not good from Path 2.0. But we learned that from, like I said, being in the room and talking to people that actually, test drove the system and talking to people that played in it. And so, right. Yeah, that's what WotC. I mean, these companies, I think they probably did okay during COVID crisis, but they need to get back out there on the floor and hear what people are talking about, what people want, what people need, what people are playing. So yeah, they're very happy to see these conventions come back, and I think as the year goes on, we'll hear a lot more from WotC once they start getting a feel for is Gen Con going to happen or not? Is Origins going to happen? Is PAX going to happen? I don't know what is WotC's big con every year now. Is it? I know they don't do Gen Con as much, or they don't really care about Gen Con. Do they do PAX? Is it PAX or?
I think it's PAX, but I'll be honest with you, I couldn't.
I don't know. They seem to have a pretty big footprint at PAX South last January. It's been a year since I've been there. They had a pretty big footprint there. They had a lot of tournament stuff going on. So I don't know what their big con is. I know they stopped doing a lot of Gen Con stuff a few years back. As a matter of fact, I don't think they get a booth at Gen Con anymore, which is pretty amazing. Or they don't get a big booth. They used to be, because they used to sponsor Gen Con. That was a huge sponsor, was TSR and then WotC. And then a few years back, that wasn't what their bag was anymore. They're not doing it. So yeah, we'll see how this goes with the new year and see what WotC's up to. But I wonder if they've made a couple of really boneheaded moves in the last few months. I mean, not everybody would think that these are boneheaded moves. I mean, this is just you and I looking at people's reaction. And we're mostly looking at it from the viewpoint of, old school gamers, grognards, people that play for a long time. I'm sure a lot of younger people may just say, okay, well, hey, who cares? Dwarves don't have level limits anymore, or female dwarfs don't have strength limits. I don't care. And I mean, honestly, I don't either, but
right.
There's a lot of old school people like, oh my God, we've done it this way forever. How dare they change things? But your game is still there, and it's still, look, we got a session this Saturday. We played, we're playing Greg Gillespie's Highfell, and we're doing our 15th session. And, we use second edition, because everybody has the books. That's what we used to play years ago. We have all the books. So we're just like, let's just play this. It's easy enough. It's a very easy version to learn. If somebody just wants to drop in, it's basically first edition dumbed down. I mean, pretty much. if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we don't care what they do with 3.0 or 4.0 or 5.0, whatever. It doesn't affect us. And our game hasn't changed. 2.0 hasn't changed. 1.0 hasn't changed. Third edition hasn't changed. None of these games have changed. The only thing that's changing is fifth edition. Yes, if you're an old school guy playing fifth edition and you like the way things used to be, I can understand why you might be upset if, fifth edition starts changing up some of the basic tenets of the game. But anybody else, if you're upset about it, I don't get it. I mean,
yeah, and even that, it really, I guess, and I'll be honest with you, it should only upset you if you are stuck playing organized play. If you're playing games at your own table and Wizards of the Coast says, all right, well, orcs should now be lawful good, and that orc tribe there could, they're farmers now. God, I'm sounding like an old SNL player. They're farmers now. All right, picture that. They farm, they no longer hunt, and they're vegetarians. If that's what Wizards of the Coast is saying now, and you're running at your own table, you can give them the big FU. It doesn't matter. But if you're playing in like the Adventurers League, now you got to change your perception of what an orc is or what you can expect, because now your orcs are going to be,
But then that's your problem. If you're playing, then you don't play. Then if you don't like it, don't play in the Adventures League, or write them an ugly letter and say, I'm not playing in the Adventures League because of this. It shouldn't affect anybody playing any earlier edition of the game. And it just always blows my mind. I know I lose all my grognard cred when I say stuff like this, but it blows my mind when these old school guys get all bent out of shape about the latest WotC weird mention. I mean, it shouldn't affect your game one bit. Anything before fourth edition, it's not going to affect your game, because and even if you play fifth edition, unless you play Adventure League, it's still not going to affect your game, because your home game is your home game. The WotC police are not going to kick down your door and take your books and throw you in against the wall and cuff you and search you. Because I used to have this joke.
We know some good lawyers. So.
When third edition came out 20 years ago, God, it's been 21 years ago. I remember online, this is, back in the fledgling online days when they had AOL forums and stuff, people would get on there and just rant and how dare they change our game, and how dare they and I said the same thing. The TSR police or WotC police are not going to come kick your door down and steal your second edition and first edition books and say, here's the way you have to play now, and throw down a third edition book. They're not going to, because so you do what you want in your own game, and don't worry about everybody else. Don't worry about their games. If they want to play the way they want to play, I've almost gotten a knockdown, drag out fight with a grognard because I casually mentioned at a convention that we don't use level limits for demi-humans, and we haven't since like 1985. I don't know.
Right.
And this was just the most egregious crime this guy had ever heard. Like, oh my God, well, that's the way Gary wrote it. And it's for play balance. I said, in all the years I've had it, I haven't had one single player sit down and said, oh, I'm going to play a dwarf because all the play balance, because I've had people play human. Well, nobody will ever play a human if you do that. I've had plenty of people play humans the last 25 years or 30 years of my campaigns. You play what you want to play. You don't, if you're sitting there min-maxing numbers and stats, that's your problem. That's not my problem. That's your issue.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, though. How many campaigns legitimately got past 7th or 8th level anyway? Legitimately.
No,
I'm not talking about the campaigns where you said, all right, well, next campaign, because this is taking too long, every session you go up one level. All right, you know what? You're going to see name level characters in that situation. But if you're counting Expo, if you're counting the Expo and you're following the DMG, and you're awarding XP along Gary's way, which was, unless you're perfectly playing your alignment and everything else, you're basically getting your XP cut. There's no fucking way that anybody's walking out. Remember, your XP is coming from gold and treasure, and unless you have like infinite bags of holding, you're not bringing out that treasure enough to the point where so usually campaigns either die from one of two things: a TPK or under the weight of Monty Hallism. That's my experience. I don't know.
Or just, like I've had all the years I've been playing since 1978, we had the original character campaign, the original characters we had, they got to be about 15th level. But we played that campaign on and off for probably almost 20 years. I had another campaign, an Undermountain campaign, that lasted about 2.5 years straight through. Those characters got really high level. I want to say there was one more campaign we ran where characters got pretty high level, but you're right. Every other campaign usually dies of attrition. It's usually not a big deal. It's because people don't show up one week. I had an online campaign that ran for 2 years, and we religiously met every weekend. And then something happened, and we missed one weekend, and then one of the members got sick, and he couldn't play, and it just kind of snowballed. And next thing you know, it was like, oh, we've been playing for 2 years online, and we're not playing anymore. That's usually what happens. You don't get to high level. You don't get to super high level most of the time. And it's just, you're right, because the sweet spot of this game is on. I mean, I love low level adventure. I think that's the sweet. To me, my favorite adventures as a DM and a player are levels 1 through 3, 1 through 5. The sweet spot is probably levels maybe 3 through 7, 3 through 9. But past 9th level, you're right. It's really tough to get, if you're playing old school methods, it's really tough to get the XP to go up enough levels. And plus, at that point, the game does not scale very well. I'm sorry, it does not. It does not scale. And wizards become extremely powerful after about 12th level. Once they start getting, 5th and 6th level spells, they become extremely powerful. And fighters can't really keep up. I mean, fighters they're powerful, but they can't keep up with mages.
They're hit point buffers is what they are.
Yeah, and so it doesn't scale well for higher levels, and then you end up having to do kind of what TSR did with the Immortals rules and the Masters rules and stuff. You have to, you're going to be fighting gods now, or you're basically becoming a demigod because you can't go adventure in a dungeon anymore. There's too many things in a mage's bag of tricks to do any kind of conventional dungeoning. I went with a guy. I knew a guy that ventured, and whenever he did a tournament, he always asked if Pass Wall was a spell he could get. Because Pass Wall is the biggest cheat spell of all time.
Yes.
He knew it. And so he'd get 5 Pass Walls. And the guys, what are you doing? Like, you just wait and see. And sure enough, they'd run an encounter like, well, you can't get past this door. Pass wall, pass wall, pass wall, pass wall. Boom. We're in the room. Whoa, I got to check in my notes and see if that's allowed. Unless they specifically said spells don't work on the wall. So yes.
Right. A lot of times they would have to say that.
Yes.
Oh, this is certain spells just don't work here.
Right, and that's
you got to talk about the exceptions,
which is basically a cheat. It's a cheat. You're saying because I always like those. Ed Green would always just do this. He would write a dungeon that you can't turn this undead because they're wearing this certain necklace. I'm like, well, if all the undead in this dungeon wear a certain necklace, then why not every undead in the world? Because apparently it's really easy to make. Because if you're hanging on skeletons and zombies, so that's kind of a cheat. Yes, you can't turn undead in here because the evil is too powerful in here. Well, why does that just happen everywhere? I mean, evil's pretty powerful everywhere.
Or it is. Yeah,
David said something earlier I wanted to get to. He said, so we can talk about this. I think the problem with WotC making these changes is that it sets the standard for future D&D players. I don't disagree with that. But once again, that still shouldn't affect your game if you're playing 2E or 1E. And if somebody comes from 5E to 2E and they say, we got this as this. Well, whoa, hold on. That's not how WotC does it now. You still have the power over your own campaign. I mean, your own campaign is your god over your own world. I mean, that's every dungeon master's dream, right? This is my world. This is what happened. If you say that, for instance, in my world, all elves are extremely warlike. They don't believe in art or poetry or singing. They build weapons. They build swords. They're engaged in this lifelong battle against barbarians to the north. And so they're constantly at war. So that's what I've decided my elves are. So if you come in and say, well, my elf, no. I don't like that. My elves, he wants to dance around the forest and sing poetry and this and that. Well, you know what's going to happen? Next time he runs to a group of elves, they're going to beat the shit out of him and say, hey, pansy, what are you doing? We need to be fighting over here. What are you doing singing songs in the wood? So you make your own world. You create your own world. And so if somebody comes to your campaign from another campaign and says, well, this is the way WotC does it, you just stare at them and say, so? I mean, WotC, once again, the WotC police aren't showing up to make sure I play the way WotC wants me to play. So I understand that future gamers may think like that, but when they come to your world should be your world. And I know people have used the excuse in the past that, well, if I play it this way, nobody will play in my campaign. And I understand that because I've had people say that before, like, yeah, I really want to play this, but nobody will play like way. That's what's so great about online gaming, guys. You can find people online that will play anyway, and you'll find people play the exact way you want to play. So I understand that, David, but I don't, I don't think it's a huge problem. I think it's something yeah, it sucks that they feel like they have to add those kind of rules in there, but it still doesn't affect your campaign.
No, now in the live chat, somebody brought up Critical Role giving false expectations to players, and I think that's probably more of an issue for those that are coming to tabletop gaming from watching the streams of Critical Role, which I am not very good at watching a regular live play or listen to a regular live play. And I look at Critical Role as, no offense to anybody who's participated in Critical Role, but it looks like a bunch of self-important douchebaggers showing how
no offense at all.
But how great they can act and improvise. And I am an artiste.
It's all voice actors, but it's a whole game. Look, it's a group. It's not real. I know this sounds dumb. It's not a reality show, folks. It's a bunch of voice actors. They do rehearse. I don't, Critical Role doesn't bother me at all. Now, yes, there are terrible expectations because I have actually heard people enter a game and get mad and say this isn't like Critical Role. Nobody's like Critical Role. I can't. Oh God, what's the guy that runs Critical Role? He just flew out of my head. I can't remember the guy's name.
That was probably for the best.
Oh my God!
I can't think of it.
The guys. Look, he does a great job. He does a great job. What he does, it's not D&D. What he's doing is not D&D, but it's great. It's the Starbucks effect. It's like 5e, the popularity of 5e. You should be happy. It's the Starbucks effect. It brings more people in the hobby. Who cares how they get in here? Once they get in here and they sit into 4 or 5 games and realize not everybody plays like Critical Role. Actually, nobody plays like Critical Role. They'll either accept it and say, well, this is still fun, or they'll say, well, this is what I thought, and they'll leave. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. Matt Mercer. Thanks, Sean. I've actually met Matt, super nice guy. I mean, I don't act like I know the guy. I met him for 5 minutes, eating pizza with him. But I mean, yeah, super nice guy, and all the more power to what he does. I mean, he found a niche and he filled it, and great for him. But nobody plays like that. That's not a real D&D game. What he's doing there,
Critical Role is it's a visual and audio entertainment, but it's not there to reenact how a game session is. Because I'll be honest with you, I mean, I am an avid gamer. I love my gaming. I've been gaming since I was 12 or 13. I love to be a participant. I love to be a GM. You know what I don't like to do? I don't like to watch fucking games with other people in it. I'm not a big fan. I'd rather hear their stories about their games, because then they embellish and they tell you the exciting parts. But when you're an observer, most of a game session is boring as fucking hell because you're not involved in it. That's why Critical Role has to do what they do, because they want you to come back. It's a product. Critical Role is as much a product as the product they are showcasing. And it's just that D&D is the tool. That's all it is.
You're absolutely right. Yeah,
there we go. Professional wrestling version of D&D.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. It's exactly what it is. It's great for the hobby. It brings people in. I was sitting at a live presentation of Acquisitions Incorporated, which is kind of I would say it's a spinoff of Critical Role, but it's not really a spinoff. It was an independent thing of its own, but it's the same thing. Acquisitions Incorporated is basically the same thing. And I sat in a live presentation of it at PAX South last year. And we're in an auditorium packed full of people, something you won't see for a while. And everybody is raptly watching these guys play D&D as Jeremy Crawford's running the game. And it was entertaining as hell. It was funny. Everybody was laughing and the situations you get. I mean, yes, they rolled dice, but you could tell whatever they rolled didn't really matter. If it was a critical fail or if it was a critical success, everything was still going to go on the railroad, right? But it was having a great time. What am I going to argue with that and go out there grouchy and bitchy like, well, that's not how a D&D game really is. Who cares? They were having a great time. It was fun. It was, like you said, it was very entertaining because let's face it, D&D has a lot of. So when I run my sessions once a month or twice a month, the first thing I do is everybody gets in there and you get your character sheets. Okay, your character sheet's been updated. Okay, you're in town. What do you want to do when you're in town? So the first 30 minutes are boring as fuck. It's them going, okay, we're going to go to the apothecary. What potions does he have? I roll on the random chart. He has this, and this. Okay, I'm going to buy that. And last adventure, we have some basilisk legs. This, that. I'm going to sell it to him. Okay, here's how much he gives you for it. Then they go to the church and they buy some healing stuff. Then they go to the Mystic Society and they buy. I mean, it's boring as hell. You would never role play that out if you were doing a Critical Role or Acquisitions Incorporated. But that's how most D&D campaigns go. It's the first 15, 30, 20, 30 minutes, you're getting all your guys ready to roll. And you're getting, all your stuff. You got your henchmen fixed up. What's been going on in the town. One of the guys, they always go by the moneylender because the moneylender knows everything going on in the town. They ask him what's going on. Sometimes he has adventure hooks. Sometimes he's just saying, oh, well, this guy is supposedly doing this and this guy over here. But you don't roll. You wouldn't put that on a Critical Role broadcast. My God, everybody fall asleep. It'd be boring, boring as hell. Yeah, we go into the general goods store. Do you have any 50-foot rope? No, I've got some 25. I mean, who wants to role play that on a
I've only got 49 feet, but I need 50. I've only got 49.
I could tie two 25s together. Oh, okay.
I could unbraid it for you and then turn it into 98 feet of rope. But it would only hold half the strength.
I mean, last time we played, we actually was entertaining because they're raising these things called bayaks that are flying yaks, and they're trying to breed them to sell them. And they left these two guys in charge of it. They really don't know what they're doing, and they hadn't checked in with them for about 5 or 6 sessions. So I ran off that as a DM. It's like, oh, well, let's check in with those guys. Well, it turned out the money they've been spending on food and clothing and partying, and they haven't been spending any money on racing bayaks. But I said it's because they haven't been paying attention to the guys. And so we had a pretty funny 5-minute conversation with the guys as they well, we gave you 5,000 gold pieces. What'd you spend it on? Well, let me see. I bought some clothes, and then I got
hookers and blow.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it was. Pretty much hookers and blow. And they're like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" So that was funny and entertaining. That would have been funny. But other than that, it's usually really boring.
And it doesn't necessarily translate. Like Chuck says, I don't get the appeal of watching other people play D&D.
I'm with you on that. No,
which is why when you're watching these shows, they're not really playing D&D.
Exactly.
They're telling a story.
Right.
Okay? It's the story that's the entertainment. The mechanics of the game are there just to be there. Tribal, nice for joining us. Now, before we could delve on, we could rant about this for.
Oh my God!
But here, I want to touch on something because, according to N-World, this is a big thing. What are publishers doing for New Game Master Month? Now,
it's New Game Master Month. Yahoo!
Yahoo! Now, I never knew there was a New Game Master Month, so I went to newgamemastermonth.com, and since I often do this, I'm like, oh, well, let me check out the Alexa ranking. No data. 17 sites linking in. No data. Well, what 17 sites can be linking in besides N-World? How about the publishers that they say choose your game from? And obviously, I guess Pathfinder and D&D are not listed. Numenera, Unknown Armies, Trail of Cthulhu.
Oh, why have they not listed D&D and Pathfinder? I don't understand.
Because these are the ones that must be sponsoring. Delta Green.
I got you.
Monster of the Week. Now, again, this gets a full-blown article where what from N-World, and I'm not just picking N-World. I am picking on N-World, but
we're not picking on them. Really.
I'm just like, what are Monty Cook Games, Chaosium, Evil Hat, Pelgrim, Atlas Games, and Arc Dream doing for a New Game Master Month? I'm like, I've never heard of New Game Master Month. I've heard of DM Month. I've heard of New Game Master Month. I asked each of these companies how they're supporting new GMs in the first major RPG event of 2021. How can it be a major event of 2021 if this is a new event? It's a brand new event.
Gotta
right?
hype it, baby. Hype machine. Gotta throw that. And not only that, it sounds what you're telling me. It sounds like basically a paid for commercial for these companies.
No, but it couldn't be, because you do realize that Emerald does not do articles that are paid for advertising.
Sure, they don't. Okay, yeah,
that would be wrong. Now, I'm not saying they didn't do it in the past, but that was under Chris Hunt, and he apparently did.
So you're saying Morris? Well, Morris doesn't do Emerald anymore, does he? Somebody else.
No, Morris is still in charge.
Okay,
of Emerald.
So they don't do pay to play anymore. Is what you're telling me?
Right, and I will certainly now. Not that they don't do things like we're gonna ask you to vote on the top 20 podcasts of the year, and then include their own fucking podcast in the list of podcasts that you can vote on. Because if I said, "Hey, Tenkar's Tavern is going to have the community vote on the most popular podcast of the year," and I've got Tavern Chat listed, what do you think my community is going to go? Gee, I think that's probably one of the most popular podcasts. Talking crit, man. But that being said, N-World turned 20 at the beginning of the year. And I got to give congratulations to Morris. Listen, myself and Morris have rarely seen eye to eye. I mean,
thanks, Bruce.
One of my better friends in the hobby, Joe the Lawyer, is the only person I know of that got banned from N-World for something he posted on his blog.
That's thought police, man. That's big time thought police.
Now, if Joe can get banned for something that he posted on his blog, then why did I never get banned for, I don't know, covering N-World's Kickstarter, which even Kickstarter admitted the Kickstarter violated every rule of Kickstarter.
Yes.
But they endorsed it and made it one of their staff picks.
Right.
Because they liked N-World. And you know what? N-World has done a great service for the community. And I will say, if you look at it now and you look at it, I don't know, 2 years ago, N-World now is better than N-World 2 years ago.
Unlike the big purple dildo, they cleaned up their mess, I think. I'm with you. I can actually look at N-World now and read the articles and not feel like I'm personally attacked for being an old school gamer. Big purple dildo just is gone the opposite direction, and they are they're terrible. They're awful. With that dirty,
priorly used. And by the way, that big purple dildo wasn't originally purple. Okay, it just turned purple from the abuse that it's been under.
Of course, we're talking about RPG Net, which is just absolute stinkhole at this point of its life. Which I think isn't Tenkar's Tavern pulling in more people that are pulling in more hits.
Actually, here we're not pulling in RPG.net. We're not pulling in more worldwide. We were pulling in more within the U.S. They might have taken the lead in the U.S.
What's going on outside of the world? Oh God, that's scary. But anyway, Emerald pulled it back about 2 years ago. They made a couple of adjustments, and I think that I don't know how to say this. Now I'm going to be obtuse here. They made a few really bad judgment calls, and I think they got called on it.
Yes.
And I think they realized this is not how an actual site that deals with RPGs should act or should report on. They were basically reporting of stuff that they shouldn't have had no business reporting on. And it didn't matter to the hobby. Let's put it that way. And I think people were let go. Things were changed.
They were doing investigative reporting. And have I done stuff that's been... Listen, I make no claim to be a reporter. I make no claim to be a journalist, as opposed to individuals that were at Emerald at the time made the claim that they were journalists doing this reporting, which was not based on found evidence.
They ran a series of articles based on 100% on anonymous reporting, which is not something journalists do. And I think they got stung on that because it did look bad. And so, obtuseness aside, I think they cleaned up. It seems like they started cleaning up right after that happened and said, "Look, this isn't us. We're supposed to be talking about games and who's playing this and what's Pathfinder doing and Call of Cthulhu is doing this and and I think they moved away from the personal vendettas and the personal attacks and the kink shaming and all that fun stuff."
Oh God, I was accused of kink shaming. But it wasn't about that. It was about somebody else, and it was just It was about Ken Whitman. All right, I got accused of king shaming Ken Whitman. You know what? Even just thinking of Ken Whitman in a situation where you could king shame him, it makes me physically ill at the moment. I probably gonna have to have some more wine.
Ken advertised in it. Well, we do this. Don't even talk about it. Just Ken was doing something.
Right now, Ken's ears are bleeding.
It really shouldn't have been relevant because it is.
Yeah, and I was wrong. Okay, and I will.
We don't like to kink shame.
No, but
we don't kink shame here. Your kinks are
Ken Whitman because it just brings up a horrible image. But here, I'm going to give some quick stats here. Emerald. Ranks 58,445 on Alexa. Lower is better. That is not as good as they have been. I believe they were around 20,000 at one point.
They're really high. Yeah.
Not too long ago, actually. Now, Big Purple. Let's go to Big Purple here. I double clicked and I closed out Big Purple. Well, it's so easy because it is Big Purple. It's
by the way, my drinking escapade last week, Bruce, you asked me. I stuck with Old Granddad because I like Old Grand. But all the rest of them went back in the back. I was sick to my stomach after that drinking.
Well, you should have been.
It was awful.
I don't think I would just blame it on the amount to drink, not what you drank. All right,
it was terrible.
RPG Net 116,675 for their overall Alexa. 38,858 in the U.S. There's no stats in the U.S. for N-World because it would be Great Britain in their case. All right, so now we're going to put that in perspective. Now remember that number in the U.S. 38,858. Tenkar's Tavern. Now I've been doing this for 10, 11 years. It's a one-man show. I don't have all these fucking admins. I don't have all these people doing work for me. I don't get sponsorships and ads from all these companies. My Alexa ranking 155, 280.
Nice.
Not bad, right? But my ranking in the US 36, 899. Gee.
Better than Big Purple. Interesting.
38, 858 for Big Purple. So I am doing better. Tenkar's Tavern is doing better in the Alexa ranking than RPG.net. And that blows my fucking...
I'm going to tell a secret here. RPG.net is not a gaming site anymore.
No, I know.
It's not about gaming anymore. So that's why that's like so low anymore. It has about a couple hundred people that talk about the same thing over and over again and don't talk about gaming. And it's basically deteriorated. So here's a thread at Big Purple. It starts out, somebody says something, 4 people agree with them, then 5 people disagree with them, then they get in a big fight and the thread's shut down. That's every freaking thread there now. That's what it ends up being. And they have a fight. And they have a fight about the dumbest things you've ever dumbed about that you couldn't be dumber about.
Yeah.
They're not talking about gaming anymore. The gaming.
So basically, it's Punter Grognard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Older. Well, just a lot of other things. I mean, politics gets into it. And then somebody says, I like the new Star Wars game. How you like it? Then 5 posts later, somebody's talking about how Star Wars is sexist and misogynistic and, Darth Vader should be a woman. And then it gets a big fight and then they shut the thread down. That's every thread in Big Purple now.
Here's the interesting thing. Their Alexa ranking has gotten significantly worse since they upped the politics and lowered the gaming. And now, what's a shame is Shannon Appelkline, a lot of his updates on his projects are highlighted at RPGNet because he was one of the primaries.
Right.
I don't know what he does behind the scenes
He's
now.
He's supposed
But
to
he,
in charge,
he
but I
does,
don't think he does very much with it.
I don't think he's very hands-on, but I've conversed with him online and directed him to get information on old school gaming when he was doing an update. And nice enough individual. I have a lot of respect for him. But RPG.net is all right.
You can't.
Here, I'm going to put it another way. I would and all right, it's going to be horrible to say this. I would sooner post on the RPG site, which is a cesspool of grognard, okay, than RPG.net.
I would rather read every post on the RPG Pundit site.
What would you have? Because once you get past the name calling and cockery on that site, there's some good.
They talk about games. They actually talk about games. Yeah, Big Purple is just it's terrible. And I feel Shannon is. I mean, Shannon writes some really good history of
amazing history,
amazing stuff. But the way I look at it now is there is no Shannon could wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, I can't do this anymore, and there's no way you could stop that train. You'd have to fire every single moderator there and start from scratch. That's how bad it's gotten to this point. There's no way you can reverse this. This train is going 800 miles an hour and it's not going to stop until it hits a brick wall. I mean, you just can't. I mean, it's decided on this one path of destruction. It's going down that path, and there's nothing. Shannon, like I said, Shannon could decide tomorrow, how do I change it? The first thing you'd have to do is fire every moderator, and that's just impossible. You just can't do that. And so there you go. That's what you're left with. You're left with a quote gaming site that doesn't really talk about gaming anymore, and that's why. And whereas EndWorld, I think, realized right before they tipped over to the abyss, EndWorld said, "Do we really want to become this?" And they said no, and they're like, no.
The brown dildo or whatever the. But here's the thing too, is that with RPG.net, not only would you have to fire everybody, but again, I have communities. I have the Tenkar's Tavern on Facebook. On me, we have the Discord server, and of course we have my blog. And I am pretty much strictly neutral, which means we leave off the politics, we leave off the social issues, we talk about gaming, and sometimes we get into these gray areas. And I've told my moderators, you want to remove something, remove it. And I have that on Discord, and Discord, I have a really good, strong moderation team. Everything else is mostly me. Now, maybe you're going to post something that's political, and I might read it and go, holy shit, man, I agree with that motherfucker 100%. Guess what? Delete. Because it doesn't matter what my personal opinion is. We have an area that's not going to discuss that. It's not going to be the topic. Sure. Now, are there times where maybe it's in a gray area and I'll screw up? Certainly. I am the least perfect person that I know when it comes to this stuff. But I've been accused of like, why do you let people like the pundit post on your Facebook community? Well, I like to keep them on post approval whenever I can remember. It only lasts for a month. Then I got to reinstall it because the vast majority of what he shares is not only gamer appropriate, it is non-political. But when he delves into politics, it now becomes a shit show.
Yeah.
And for a while, he was getting better at realizing, oh, you know what? Tenkar is a bit of an ass. He's going to delete this because it's political. I just won't share it. But then things started slipping through, and it's like, oh, my God. I stepped away for 5 hours. I got a flaming bag of shit in the tavern's Facebook community because of – but his quality for his gaming posts means that I should be putting in the extra effort to make sure that his politics doesn't pop into the theater. RPGNet takes a side on what they're going to allow and disallow. And there's two ways you can do it. Like I said, in my case, I just say no politics. But otherwise, if you're going to allow politics of this sort, you should be allowing politics of both.
I could fix RPGNet. It would be a mess, though, because the day I took over, the next day I'd have a meeting. I'd have port in do a Zoom meeting with every single moderator and say, here's the deal. Starting tomorrow, we're doing no politics. Any politics, you immediately delete the post, ban the poster. Whatever, week ban, 3-day ban, and then if they do it again, 30-day ban, then permanent. If you don't agree with this, then thanks for your help, and you're gone. And so that's it. You're gone tomorrow. Just tell me whether or not you agree with it, and that would fix it. But the problem is, I think you'd have 3/4 of your moderators, and so you'd be stuck with 1/4 of your moderators after that. But that's the way you fix it. You just say no politics at all, any side, any way, shape, or form. I'm going to be checking every once in a while to make sure you obey these rules. The funny part is, every once in a while I have to go check Big Purple because of some reasons. Okay, so sometimes you get these threads and they ban the moderators, which is hilarious because the moderators can't even keep their own rules because they'll jump in and start reaming on somebody, and then another moderator has to come in and ban that moderator. It's the biggest clown show you've ever seen. So yes, that would be my thing. Is that look, and actually I know a guy who was a huge poster there and leans politically one way. I won't say. Leans politically left, which Big Purple does, and he got banned from the site because he disagreed with a policy they had about doxing. Which their policy was you can dox somebody as long as you don't agree with them and we don't like them. You can dox them. And he said, whoa, you should be able to dox anybody. And they said, oh, you believe that? Boom, you're out. Banned him off there. He'd been on the good poster for about 12 years and was banned because he doesn't believe in doxing the right people. So anyway, I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad InWorld pulled back from the abyss and they do that. And yes, they're
I can actually go there now and
I do too. I check out some news stories every once in a while.
And if I find a news story and I use them as a source, I link to them. By the way, Bruce has a very valid point, and he's talking about I buy some of the pundit stuff the same way I buy Andy's stuff from FASA. I don't necessarily like Andy's mindset outside of game theory, but he writes really well, and that has always been my argument.
Should matter. If that matters to you, if that's the number one thing that matters to you, and for a lot of people that is the number one thing that matters to you, is that I buy games from somebody who absolutely agrees with me, then I feel bad. I feel sorry for you. You're going to miss out on a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and that's a fucking shame. Again, I've gotten flack because how dare I cover somebody's new Kickstarter because they are on a verboten list on one side of the political spectrum or the other. Right. I don't give a flying fuck. Are they producing quality material? Because I don't care about their politics. Politics does not define my life. I'm sorry. I'm not saying gaming defines my life. I would like to think that probably my marriage and my family define it more. But certainly gaming is a large part of my life, and I'd rather see quality gaming material. And I don't care what jackassery you do as long as you don't put it into your gaming.
Look, I'll do two things real quick. First of all, Bob said, what's doxing? Doxing's when you give personal information about somebody, hoping that people basically harass them. Big Purple is fine with doing that as long as you're somebody they don't like. They will absolutely do that. They will give personal information, including they will let people post email addresses, phone numbers, etc. Now, they recently changed their policy where they don't. I wonder if they got in trouble for it. That was something that they were doing for a while. That I noticed that moderators have started deleting those posts and said, if you do that again, you're banned. So they were allowing it for a while. I think they finally got, I don't know, threatened with a lawsuit. Who knows what happened, but they finally realized we can't do that. At one point, they had a list going for people to avoid at cons, which is absolutely, you could sue the fuck out of somebody that did something like that. Because if your name's on that list, I wish my name popped up on the list. I'd have loved it.
Is it my name?
No, it wasn't, because what happened was somebody proposed it, and they were shut down. They said, no, you can't do that. Why not? Because we could get sued out of existence. So yeah, that they were promoting doxing at one point, and I think they finally pulled back on that. But the other point is, when we just talk about, I wandered off there. What were you talking about before I interrupted you, Eric?
Before the doxing, and oh god, dude, we don't have a script. this shit is and I can't. I'm not going to go. Hold on, Mike. Stand by for a minute as I rewind on the.
I can't believe I had a point to make about something and.
Yes,
I know what I was going to say. Yeah, I know what to say. But yeah, about the politics. So there's a game. So Call of Cthulhu. For those who know Call of Cthulhu, it's based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, set in the 1920s. Well, that's when that's the most period setting. For those who don't know, H.P. Lovecraft he's a racist. Even for his time, he was a racist. Now you say, okay, well, he wrote back in the 20s and 30s. A lot of people were racist. He was a racist even by standards of the 20s and 30s. I mean, even Robert E. Howard, who was not necessarily the most progressive guy, was like, dude, pull it back. But so this game is based on his works. He even though he was a racist, his works are seminal works of horror fiction. He was basically the cosmic horror. He's the guy that introduced cosmic horror. Writers from Stephen King to Dan Simmons to, I mean, you go down the list, they all took, cues from this guy and all, read his stuff and all learned from it. So the game Call of Cthulhu is based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, which is based, cosmic horror. Your characters can go insane. They investigate cults. They fight dark gods. So it's, even though the writer of the games was a avowed racist, and sometimes the stories themselves are a little squicky. I mean, he doesn't necessarily get into some of the more racist parts of his philosophy. Sometimes he does in some of his stories. The game is a great game. It is an incredible game. It's just absolutely fun. I've run plenty of Call of Cthulhu campaigns. I think at this point, Chaosium does have a little post at the beginning of their rule sets to say, hey, we know this. He was a racist, but the game doesn't have to be that. The game's not. The game can be whatever you want the game to be. It doesn't have to focus on any of the racist parts of Lovecraft's philosophy. So you can still. So there's a lot of people I know that won't play Call of Cthulhu simply because it's based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft. They won't play it. They say, I'm not going to support that. There's some people that won't have anything to do with anything Conan because Robert E. Howard had some problematic thoughts. Not as bad as Lovecraft's, but he had some problematic thoughts in his writings. Look, the game's what you want to make it. You can think Howard's a racist. That doesn't mean you shouldn't play Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea because it's based on the works of
Jeff
Howard and Clark Ashton Smith and those guys. I mean,
subliminal to Jeff Talanian. You will appear on the show.
Yeah. So I mean, you bring in what you want to bring into the game. Now if you sat down to a table and they're playing Call of Cthulhu, and the guy running the game insists on using the N-word because, well, I'm trying to be faithful to the time. Yeah, get up and leave because that's not. You don't have to have that. I'm sorry, the game doesn't have to be that immersive where you're forced to do that. Right. But just playing the game normally, it shouldn't be an issue. I've had women play Call of Cthulhu. POC, people of color, play with me. I mean, it's not that hard to leave out the problematic parts of it just so you can play the game.
Well, the problematic parts are not written into the system.
No,
and here's another thing. And this is some shit that really annoys me. Okay. Evil Hat. Okay, we're talking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Evil Hat decided that what they were going to do is they were going to write a Mythos game, I guess using the Fate engine, using the public domain works of H.P. Lovecraft. And then they got huge pushback from their community because their community aligns pretty much, not all, but a good portion on the left because Fred, we're talking about purple hair, right? Aligns on, I guess that's the political spectrum. So you would think that he would have been cognizant of the fact that, hey, I'm dealing with material that people might find offensive, and especially me, somebody, not me, Tenkar, but me, Fred Hicks, that, I am, it's my antithesis, right? I complain when others do it. And what it basically came down to is he said, I understand how you feel and I appreciate it, and we're still going to make the fucking game because money. maybe not said so succinctly, because I can be succinct when I need to be, but that's what it came out to. So when it's funny how people can have these moral standards of, oh no, I can't. Oh, wait a second, I'm investing money in this. I've invested money in this, and I can make a great profit off this. You know what the return on a mythos based fate game is going to be, and we're gonna own it. We're gonna create it. You know how much money we're gonna make?
It's just trying to play both sides there. You're trying to say we want to be politically correct, but we also want to make a big pile of money. That's to me is kind of, I mean, not really sleazy. It's just, you're being a hypocrite. Okay. Look, if you're playing a historically based game, there's, I mean, I've had characters in my Call of Duty games play Italians, play Irish, and yes, they were discriminated against very badly in the 20s, and I'll throw that into a game sometime. Like, yeah, y'all could come in here, but the Irish guy got to stay outside, that kind of thing, because that happened. All my relatives, I'm Italian. All my relatives Italian. The reason the mafia started was because Italians were all banded together to get power, and that's how they got power, was by, basically brutally and systematically, setting up protection rings and stuff like that. So
it started with street gangs, because you come together for protection, and violence is power, and it happened in inner cities. And you know what? When it's the Italians, the Irish, and even those of the Jewish heritage, when they live in these enclaves within cities, their youth, schooling was not what it was then as it is now. That there's so much better, but this was just a natural progression. And those that were good at it, whether it was shaking people down or committing violence or whatever, a lot of times you would have the mafia would have. You couldn't be made if you weren't Italian, but they would have some major players that were Jewish, because they were just as good at being a violent crook,
right,
as the Italians were.
That's a part of the game, part of the history, and I would bring that in there. I had characters, people play an Italian character, and most of the games were set in Massachusetts in the 20s, and that kind of area, and yeah, they would have issues because that was historically correct. So by saying that doesn't exist, and well, we're not gonna have that in the game because we don't want to upset people. That's just silly. Then don't play a game based in the 20s. If you're going to play Robert E. Howard game, play a Robert E. Howard game. Don't play a fantasy with just a slap Howard's name on there and say this is Robert E. Howard, but it's really not Robert E. Howard. It's just a generic fantasy game. I mean, part of Howard's whole thing about Conan was just the fact he was an outsider. He was a barbarian. He came to the civilized lands, and he found out they lied and cheated and stealed and killed each other just as bad as the barbarians did. And that's the whole undercurrent of his stories, is that barbarianism. One of the quotes he has is barbarianism is natural mankind. That's the way mankind gears towards, and so that was kind of his point, is that Conan's not any worse or better than any of these guys that pretend like they're this guy, this big unkempt barbarian came in and killed these people, but yeah, he's not any worse than you guys. You do the same thing. Right. You just do it, you just have more words to do it,
and that's where it came down to. And again, judging the work based upon the person, does that mean that if the person is a saint and they put out shit that you're going to go, oh my God, this is the greatest shit.
Right.
My God, you've done such great work with your lack of skill, but your piety. Well, not even, but you know what I'm saying. Right. It doesn't translate. A lot of times, people that are what we would consider to be morally bereft are extremely artistically skilled. Karma, the universe, creation somehow balances this stuff out, and it's like, well, you know what? You are an evil person, but we gave you this great skill so you can get through life. Or we gave you no skills, but man, you are well liked because you're just a good person. You know, it's the luck of the dice to a large extent.
John and Bruce are talking about Robert E. Howard. I want to throw in a couple of things. I'm a huge Robert E. Howard fan. Matter of fact, just to let you know, I picked these up this week. Selected letters, Robert E. Howard, selected letters 30. This is selected letters 23 to 30, selected letters 31 to 36. I'm actually reading all the Lovecraft letters. He wrote to Lovecraft. But just a couple things. Howard's father was a doctor, but it was a very small country town. And if you're a doctor in a small country town, sometimes you get paid in chickens. I mean, seriously, you get paid in chickens and sheep. You don't get or produce. You don't get paid in money. Cross Plains was a huge oil boom town, but by the time that Robert E. Howard was already of writing age, it had already started going downhill, and to this day, it's a small town, and so it was basically going downhill even when he was like in his teens. So there was not a lot going on, and it was kind of a dying oil town. And the point when that's what Howard grew up in, and so yes, it wasn't a very rich town or wealthy town, even though the Howards. I've been to the Howard house. Really, it's very cool tour. They had to build Howard a little tiny little. You wouldn't believe how small this room is that he lived in. It's about from this wall back here to the end of that shelf. I mean, it was really tiny. It was a very, very small room. That's his room. Basically his little writing room that's built on the porch. So yeah, they did not have a lot of money. They were very even with his father being a doctor, they're very poor. And what you said about Howard was keenly interested in race and ancestry, evolution. Howard read pretty much every book in the library there in Cross Plains when he was a kid. And he was very interested in history, and he was very interested in, like you say, evolution, de-evolution. He thought he had a theory, which I guess we would consider somewhat racist, that more primitive people were more morally developed than rich people, because basically he had this thing against rich people or wealthy people or people that put on airs, as he used to say, that they were just all hypocrites and all morally corrupt. And a lot of it was because even though his dad was a doctor, he was looked down upon. His family was looked down upon a lot by the people in Cross Plains. And they looked down a lot on Howard because they didn't understand Howard. Even though Howard was a great writer, we realize it now. At the time, they just thought he was the weird Howard boy that used to write those crazy monster stories. So he was looked down upon a lot by the people of the city, so he didn't like it. He thought that barbarianism and primitivism was something to be extolled. It was a virtue. And so that's why his heroes are all usually primitives or barbarians or people that are outcasts, because he felt like he was an outcast, but he also thought that people that lived in came from primitive societies or barbaric societies were more quote unquote pure than people that came. So anyway, let's just throw that in there because I've been reading a lot of Howard lately, a lot of Howard's letters, a lot of stuff he used to write about. And so but yeah, it started. Let's just say that Cross Plains started going downhill in like 1920. It's kept going till now. Although now it's getting built up a little bit in the outskirts because it's outside. A lot of people that move to want to be outside the city. It's about 2.5 hours from Fort Worth. It's starting to get built up a lot more. But yeah, it's still a really tiny little town, and there's not very little going on in that town, and that's the way it's always been. So what's sad about Howard is he didn't travel more. Unlike Lovecraft traveled a lot. He went by bus everywhere. Howard really never left. He never left Texas. He never left the area around there. It's really kind of sad because he seemed like he would have really liked to have left there, but he felt like he couldn't leave his mother. His mother was deathly ill all the time. Anyway, so that's just a little background on Howard. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the show there, but I will talk when Jeff Delaney and I get together at conventions. We get in a corner and we start talking about Robert E. Howard for like 2.5 hours. I mean, because we just a fascinating
show. Holy shit! We should bring him on the TotalCon.
Oh,
subliminal messaging. Messaging.
I need to get in touch with that dude.
Yeah, Jeff. I've run your table at TotalCon now 2 years in a row, so you could actually eat and use the potty.
Yeah, the Howard Days is really cool. The one thing that sucks about Howard Days, John Miller, is that it happens the same weekend as North Texas every year. It's the first weekend in June, and so I've missed it for the last 13 years or whatever, 12 years, because it's the same weekend as our convention, sadly. But Howard Days, yeah, it's really neat. Everybody goes there and they open up the library. They have a lot of Howard's books. Interesting little bit of history there. So when Dr. Howard died, they basically just, his house was empty for a while. People just came and took stuff because that's the way you did in the country. And all his books were donated to the library as Howard wanted to. Well, the library is like, whatever. They just started giving it, they just got rid of them, or people just took them and didn't bring them back. And so when the Conan started getting popular again in the 60s, they started looking for these books. They found that residents had them. So the books they have now were for years were just on the shelf. Like a book that Robert E. Howard owned would just be on the shelf that you could just check out. And it would say like in there, this is Robert E. Howard's copy of whatever. Right. And if people would bring it home, sometimes they'd keep it. They might lose it. I mean, it's just crazy. The collection was not kept very well for decades. And it wasn't until the 60s when they said, you know what, we should put these in a special collection in the back and not let people just take them out and just do whatever. And so some of these books now are actually back in the Howard House, and the collection at the library is actually, under lock and key now instead of just being on the shelf where you could just, grab a book by Robert. Oh, here's Robert E. Howard's copy of whatever signed by Robert E. Howard. I'm going to take this home and read it. No, you can't do that anymore. So yeah, it was a lot of that stuff, but it's amazing how much stuff they found because those small Texas towns like that, when they started asking for the stuff, people were like, oh, I've got their furniture. People had their furniture. They're like, oh, I took the table out of the Howard House, and they would bring it back. Or they'd bring back these chairs or a desk or something. And matter of fact, if you go in the Howard House, last time I was there was a picture on the wall of a table, and it said, this table is owned by the Haskell family. It was taken from the Robert E. Howard House, 40 years ago, but they've said that as soon as they pass away, it will come back to the Howard House. And what happened was after Dr. Howard died, they just went in and took the table because nobody was using it. And they brought it to their house. It's been sitting in their house for 40 years. And so 50 years, whatever. And so whenever they pass away, it'll go back. I mean, that's just, that's how things were we could do a whole show on Howard sometime, Tenkar. I'm sorry. I can talk with research. But it's interesting, interesting subject there. But anyway, relating back to what we're talking about is yes, these people came from different times. Yes, they had different belief systems. That shouldn't affect your enjoyment of games, and it shouldn't affect how you play the games. You should be able to play how you want, and you shouldn't have to apologize for it. It drives me crazy sometimes to read the apologies a lot of these game companies put in their forums.
Oh my God.
Like, we know this guy was really racist, but we're just asking, and we don't believe it. Well, of course you don't believe it. Any sane person doesn't believe in it. So you don't have to tell me this.
Do my research.
Oh, there you go. That's some good research there. Savage
Sword. The Savage Sword.
Oh, is that John Buscema and Roy Thomas stuff?
Roy Thomas, John Buscema.
Oh my God, that's the best. It's the best. Black and white. Black and white. Yeah, that's good stuff.
So I, one day I'm gonna have to ignore my wife.
Oh my God, those are so good. Because Roy did all the classic stories. He
amazing job.
They're all done. They're all every Conan story has been illustrated, and that's great. Oh man, I love those.
I just have a pretty complete collection of was it King Conan or Conan the King? Those are some.
Yeah, that was a fun little series. Now that didn't have any basis in what Howard wrote, but it was still great. That was a great comic series. That was some great stuff. But yeah, if you're playing, that's one of the reasons Morphidius got in so much trouble last year from what their stuff they did. Am I pronouncing that right? Morphidius? I can't remember how. It's because if you buy a property, or if you want to base a game on a property like Howard or like Lovecraft, you have to know what you're getting into. Come on.
Yeah.
And for them to say in the Kickstarter, this is going to be 100% faithful to Robert E. Howard. And then once the Kickstarter got funded, like, well, maybe not really. We're really going to leave out all this.
But we're going to hit we're going to be as pure as ivory soap. Okay.
But we're really gonna take away all these problematic aspects. Well, then you lied to people, because then if the problematic aspects are something that's in there, and I don't have any respect for people who apologize for their stuff. Yes, no, I take it back. If you want to apologize for stuff you wrote years earlier, I understand that perfectly, and that makes sense. But you don't have to grovel. I mean, look, the example I use is the term now that we don't use anymore is gypsies, and that was a term that when Eric and I were kids was extremely in the vocabulary. Everybody talked about gypsy.
Fleetwood Mac. Come on.
And they had a song called Gypsy. I mean, I remember old people when we were kids calling people Jippos, and Jippo, I mean, that's where gypsy came from. Is people, they would say they scam people. Well, nowadays we don't use that term anymore. We don't call them. We don't call people gypsies. We don't use those words. And when they republished Ravenloft, they flipped out and like, oh my God, we can't. These people are based on the Romani, or based on gypsies. We can't have them be bad or evil or want to scam people or con people, because that just looks awful. But it is what it is. I mean, it was was written in a time when that wasn't considered. I mean, there's ways you could still do it without having to use the word gypsy. And people nowadays, nobody uses the word gypsy anymore. And that's good. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect my gaming or my way I do things. But but for everybody that lived back then to have to apologize for using the word when we didn't know there was anything wrong with the word is just ludicrous. You can't apologize for every single thing you did 30 and 40 and sometimes even longer, 50 or 60 years ago.
Now, David Thompson's like, you can't say the word gypsy here in the UK. It's travelers or Romani. I thought
that's pretty much here too. Even travelers. By the way,
travelers are the Irish, right? The Irish.
That's actually becoming there's a lot of pushback to the word traveler, because yes, Irish travelers, they're a huge issue in Texas. We've had a lot of problems with Irish travelers in Texas, and that's becoming a huge pushback. A lot of the Irish traveler community are saying you can't call us Irish travelers because that creates a picture in your mind of who we are, scam artists or con men, and we don't want you to use that. So actually, even the word traveler is getting a pushback at this point. Irish traveler.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you have to, but if you're gonna buy into it, then yes, you can apologize and couch your terms, but you still have to realize this is just an actual term that people used years ago, and it doesn't reflect on you now unless you're using it in a derogatory way. I mean, it doesn't bother me that Ravenloft changed it doesn't bother me. They changed their, who cares?
I don't play it anyway, and if I was going to run it, I'd be running it from, I guess, the 2E supplements that I have.
Sure.
And, there'd be a lot of gypsies telling fortunes and, telling my players how they would die. We're going to die a most horrible death. Horrible. At the end of a sword or a pike. I can't quite tell. It could be one, maybe
something
the other.
Sharp is going to puncture you,
or you're going to fall down a deep pit or over a rock and just hurt your head. But you're going to fall. Oh God.
So what do we have? What else do we have? We pontificated quite a bit this show. Did we have anything else we were going to talk about? Did we miss anything? Because we got on our soapbox, which we usually don't do by.
No, never. See, and again, folks, and this is what we have to warn our guests before they come on, because a lot of times and this is when I do fireside chats, just me and one other too. But I got to warn them. I go, listen. It's going to be a free-form game, association. I'm going to say something, you're going to say something, and we're going to riff off it, and it's going to go on its own path. It is literally a hex crawl or a sandbox. There are no rules other than there are no rules. I personally believe that this format that Mike and I have going with you all as our live audience is perfection. Well, maybe not perfection. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I haven't found the platform for it. But when I DM, I like to be have an adventure that's light and easy to run, that I can improv with, because players that push me to improv keep me on my toes, while listeners and viewers that keep us on our toes by pushing us in directions that we didn't expect to go in is not just great for us, but it's going to be great for the listeners. And I really appreciate that.
And by the way, so they're talking about the Conan modules that TSR put out. The problem with that, with putting out anything to do with Conan, is Conan doesn't die or really get hurt or not succeed. So they tried to make it so okay, one of you is going to play Conan, one's going to play Red Sonja, one's playing. Those were they're really not very good. I remember buying those and reading. Go, what's the point of this? This is worse than Dragonlance. I mean, this is rare. Woo! Because you can't lose.
No, you can't. Now the ones that did kind of work were the GURPS Conan adventures because they were GURPS solo adventures. So,
okay, yeah,
you were playing Conan, and it was GURPS, and you were likely gonna fucking die because even though you're playing Conan, it's GURPS, and it's a lethal system. John Miller, I recommended Boniface books for the great art and setting information. That's the recent Conan release. I think the 2D20 system. The books, I think I have them all in PDF. They are amazing. I don't particularly like the system, but hey, you don't need that. You just take it for inspiration. I don't really run much as it's written anyway, so fuck it.
Well, the funny thing about the Marvel Conan, there was two versions. There was the AD&D version, which was I think CB1, CB2, and then they had a box set came out, which had a totally different rule set, and there was 3 modules for that. Those were the CN1, CN2, CN3, and I don't know anybody I don't know one single person that ever played that rule system with those modules.
I owned it, but
yeah.
I was like,
I think I bought it just to read it, but I'm like, I'm never going to play this. And then once again, you have the same problem. See, that's the one thing is you can play in the world. It's just that if you have Conan in the game, it throws everything off to a ridiculous extent. Now, playing in the world of Samaria would be awesome. I mean, and that's kind of cool, But yeah, having Conan or any of his cohorts as in the party or NPCs is just that's ridiculous. You could the world of Samaria or the world of Hyperborea is awesome. I mean it's cool. It's an awesome world. I remember drawing maps when I was a kid, and I put all my early D&D campaigns there because I thought it was so cool. Such a cool world. Try to work in against the giants and stick it in Ophir or whatever because I'm like, oh man, this is cool. We got to play in Conan's world. But yeah.
Not in the world of Greyhawk. You are a heretic.
We just drifted back to Greyhawk because nobody wanted to play Conan's world except for me.
Oh, all right.
Like, why don't we just put this in Greyhawk? What does this do? Why are we talking about Conan stuff? I'm like, because Conan's so cool. And they're like, let's just play in Greyhawk. So we did end up playing in World of Greyhawk.
Okay.
So
I was. Then you were an attempted heretic, but they brought you back to the fold.
Yeah, Just trying to keep the peace when I was a kid. I was playing Get Along Gang guy when I was a kid. I didn't want to create anything different or weird. Yes, that is Josh. This is true. That's part of the problem with focus game settings is you do run into that problem. The same thing around with Dragonlance was when you're doing Dragonlance, but you're gonna be the companions and you're gonna basically play exactly the way the books go, which. I tell you what, the Dragonlance adventures aren't bad if you just file off all the serial numbers and just throw in your campaign like, okay, here's a black dragon layer or here's a red dragon layer, and just take out all the Dragonlance stuff. They're not bad because I ran them. I ran some of those. I ran DL1, which is based on the first Dragonlance book, but it's got a black dragon as the bad guy, and it's a pretty cool little layer. So you don't have to, so you don't play him as Dragonlance, they're fine. But if you try to play him as Dragonlance, I don't know. It didn't make any sense. I mean, like I said, it's just a gigantic railroad.
I'm sorry, but Gold Moon cannot die. She cannot. If she dies, she did not die. And
the Indiana Jones RPG is considered the worst RPG ever written exactly for those reasons. Because once again, Indy is, I think, if I remember correctly, some of those modules, Indy is your quote sidekick. He's gonna succeed at everything he does. He's Indiana Jones.
A DMPC. Come on, they were bad enough when the GM brought his own PC into it.
Oh, speaking of
the game system, bring it in.
Speaking of nothing in particular, are we going to give away some prizes tonight too?
Yes.
Rolling up to the.
I wouldn't. So tonight, because it's the last day of what's our Christmas, probably. Here on the live stream, there will be still more going up on the live stream with Joe on Friday.
Friday night, yes.
So
And what is that show called again, Eric? I can't seem to remember the name.
Iron Rations.
Iron Rations.
And it's whereas Mike and I talk current events and then go off on bizarre, tangents about gaming in general. Joe and I are listen. When I say we're more focused, we're talking D&D within the various editions. And I got news for you. Joe and I are good friends. Joe and I agree on almost nothing when it comes.
I love the last show. It was great. I love listening to you guys talk D&D, and I love to hear you disagree because Joe is so adamant when he's got a point. It's like there's no way you could have a point other than this point, and he gives you a point. And you're like, well, I don't believe that, Joe.
Well, here, put this in perspective for you. Remember, I am a retired cop. Joe is an active lawyer. So there's two of us that are used to persuading different ways, but persuading the individual that we got into compliance or to see it his way. And it is great because, listen, I used to really enjoy going head-to-head with lawyers as a cop, almost as much as you. But, hey.
It's a good show. Definitely listen up. If you haven't listened yet, guys, check it out. I forced myself to listen to it because I felt like I owed you one. So, but it was good. I love hearing you guys talk because I'm doing something else. I just turned it on and podcast and just did some work around the warehouse. It was great. I got to hear. Oh, it's Chris reminds us free stuff. Sorry, we got off on a little. We went investigating hex. We doing some hex crawls.
Not that we got our free booze this year. A hint. I mean, we could always do for like April 1st. Maybe we could do around the April's Fools. We could do an alcohol themed episode.
Some of that tequila I drank last week. My stomach's not right. I don't know what was that. That's bottom of the barrel stuff. I'm gonna have to talk to Doug about his margaritas. I don't know what he's doing, but these can't be good margaritas.
See now, Chris, if you want to get not ignored on Facebook, you gotta get Facebook permission. I am still sober. I am still on my first glass of wine, and I am still sober, and I still remember that. So I can't tell you. So
John does say live stream news for viewers. Hey, tell people about the live stream. I know this sounds dumb. Click the thumbs up on the Facebook. I mean, everything, all that stuff, that all helps. Every little bit helps. Talk about it. Link us on your Facebook page. Eric and I aren't super focused on ratings. I mean, we do watch them slowly go up. They have been slowly going up.
Yeah, no, it has been increasing. Don't get me wrong. I am happy. I am happy with the growth that we're seeing. I suspect that when we do TotalCon, and it's going to be 4 nights in a row, you're going to go, I don't know, could you actually have too much bed Mike and Tenkar? Maybe.
I don't think so. There's a lot of sexy here. That's too much. That might be too much sexy.
Are you telling me that you want me to go topless like certain James?
Oh, I never said that at one point in this conversation. I never said that.
All right, thank God, because I had no fucking intention of doing it. But the numbers are going up. I suspect that TotalCon will bring the long-term numbers up. If we do another convention, which we can't name yet, but we're working on. If we get approval for that, you know what?
I'll go on record right now. I got a record right now in North Texas. We're probably going to do a talking crit at North Texas. I mean, I don't know why we couldn't. Are you in for that? We could do it Friday night. Friday night, we could do a drink-a-thon / grab whoever's walking by. Oh, look, there's Tim Kask. Oh, look, there's Alan Hammock. There's Errol Otis. Who knows what we might find it. So I'm up for North Texas this year to do a talking grit there. So we'll definitely do some convention themed.
Yeah, definitely. But also on Fridays. So Joe and I are the second and fourth Friday of the month. Glenn Hallstrom, best known for such as Old Man Grognard on YouTube, but he also is known for Sacco's Hammer, one of the longest podcasts in the OSR, longest running. We will be doing first and third Fridays. And don't ask me what the topics are just yet. I have told Glenn, that's your bag, because I've got my finger in all these pies. It's like having a network. You know, you got to delegate.
All right, let's give away some free stuff here.
All right, so I'm going to count back. I'm going to roll a d20. I'm going to give away two $50 gift certificates to Drive Through RPG. Again, folks, before somebody goes, how the fuck did he have the money to do this? I go, I have the money because of you.
Because you're rich.
The listeners, the readers, this is your drive-through money from using the affiliate links. So when I ask you to use the affiliate links, this is what it goes to. I really believe in giving back. Is it nice to see the money come in? Certainly. It's a yardstick I can use to measure how we're doing well. But, this is more fun.
You want to roll? I got a die 20 here. You want to roll die 20?
Yeah, you roll the die 20.
Okay, there we go.
That way nobody knows.
And by the way, the art print, the thumbtacks and the art prints are because these are copy art prints. I wouldn't put them in actual art prints.
Bob, before the link to Iron Rations is the same channel on YouTube, and it's the same podcast channel or stream that you're going to catch the Talking Crit, that you're going to catch Tavern Chat. My wife and I doing Gamers Health. It's all going to, for the podcast side, the audio, it's all going to be under Tavern Chat. But for the live streams, it's all going to be youtube.com/Eric Tenkar. And subscribe, like the channel, comment, which you are doing. I appreciate it.
All right, here's the dice. First dice roll. 1. Hey, I helped you out there.
Well, you made it fucking easy. Bruce, I love you, Bruce, you cunt. I have to say that because my wife is Irish and he's a guy.
So Bruce wins. What does Bruce win?
Bruce, you win $50 in
nice
RPG Now. Drive through RPG gifts.
Do you have another one to give away or not? If not,
I do. I'm going to do two. I swear to God. Because
here's the next one. Oh, it's 10. Next one is 10.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to give him my email address here. Just so.
Okay, no problem. 10 will wait.
If I could spell Gmail, it would fucking help.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, folks. I know. I'm a half. All right. So I'm going to count back from Bruce being. So from there, what'd you roll?
10.
Jerry Tell. Jerry Tell.
Jerry Tell. There we go.
Yeah, Jerry Tell. Jerry Tell. Email me at the same. Tell me what you're emailing me about because I have other prizes I'm giving away from different days, and I'll send you out your $50. You should get it by the end of business Friday, but I'm hoping to address all this shit tomorrow. Mike, you giving anything away?
I'm gonna give away a Frog God packet, either Swords and Wizardry or 5e. Let me know, and I'll have contact information in a second. We're looking at 11.
All right, so now I've got to. Jesus Christ! All right. Okay, there we are. So 11 from Jerry Tell's winning one. 1, 2, 3. Bob G, come on down. You're
Bob G. Okay, Bob. So what you do, Bob, is email me, mike@froggodgames.com, or you can contact me on Discord. Well, actually, you can't do that through Tenkar's Tavern. I don't think. Maybe you can.
Or
you can IM me through Facebook. IM me through Facebook. Mike.
Any issues, email me and I will contact Mike.
So far, everybody's gotten in contact with me pretty easily, so it's not a problem. But yeah, Mike@froggodgames.com. IM me through Facebook or Discord. You can.
IM him right in the face.
And just let me know whether you would like 5e or Swords Wizardry. Tell me if you already have a bunch of stuff. I don't want to just send you stuff you already have. And I will send a package out this week of some Frog God game goodies.
So it's like a grab bag, but like a focus grab bag. Kind of like the opposite of like Palladium. Tell us what you want, and maybe if we have it in your Christmas grab bag, you'll get it. But it's more like tell me what you don't need because you might have everything.
Well, the last two guys I sent out Quests of Doom 1, 2, and 3, which is a ton of adventures. But I did also throw in a few Indiegogos because one of the people had been. I asked them if they had any Indiegogos. One guy did, but he's missing 2. Another guy didn't. So I did throw in a few individual Indiegogo adventures. So it'll probably be along those lines. We'll have a Quest to Doom 1, 2, 3, and then some Indiegogo adventures. So
Ian makes a comment. Would be a correct observation that the more posts you make, the more entries you end up with. Yes. However, once you've won for the night, you don't count.
Yeah, you're out.
So you just become zeroed out. So yes, the more you participate, it does increase your opportunity. But again, if you make 20 straight comments, I'm going to guarantee you that you're not going to. I don't know. My D20 rolled a 24 because it's a DM's die, and it does that.
But my Facebook is Michael Badolato, Badolato, Michael. So you should be able to find me on that. Or I don't know if you're part. If not, well, probably not part of the North Texas site. But yeah, Badolato, Badol. I should be pretty much the only Badolato in there, except for my brothers, and a few weirdos from New York. There's a bunch of Badolatos in New York.
It is open to some abuse, but you know what? It's a relaxed room and it's a relaxed situation, and these are gifts. This isn't a contest.
Yeah, we're not
like, all right. So once I count your name once, I got to skip the rest of them because you know what? I'm doing this live. I am not doing this with a screenshot of the last 100 posts. By the way, I tried doing this initially with D100, and somebody rolled like a fucking 89, and then I realized it only went back 80 comments, and that's when I said, "Fuck no." Now I could do 2 D20s, but then we'll spend half the podcast or half the live stream with me counting. And you know, there you go. Chris, you can make as many crap comments as you want, but
wait, hold on. When's Chris's comments not a crap comment?
Folks, if you're listening to this after we recorded it, whether you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, or you're listening on the podcast, yes, we genuinely have this much fun when we do this. If you think we do this for the adoration of our fans, such as it is, yeah, but that's what the fun is, right?
There's no big check at the end of this.
Oh no! I keep writing these checks at $50 a pop.
Yeah. We're not getting any money for this.
By the way, if for some strange reason I have not closed that OSR Christmas, or if I decide to do a bonus day of OSR Christmas, I gotta check my drive-through RPG balance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll do it again next week. But we might have to, because we have we'll be having quite possibly the Skeeter, the Man of the Hour, the Violator.
Yeah, we supposedly we're going to firm up our plans next week. We should have Skeeter Green on here, so that will be fun.
And I can guarantee you, folks, that we will have to bring up the incident at my first Gary Con where I almost got killed. No, I almost got killed, Mike. I almost got killed because I
did get molested. You almost got killed. I did get molested, so that's interesting.
Yeah, Ian, you're really asking a lot for Mike and I to even know what an auto draw.
Ooh, strange auto draw. Ouch! It sounds like math and science and stuff.
No, again, you're talking technical abilities that are far beyond those of moderately intoxicated individuals, let alone sober ones that have very few tech skills. I use StreamYard because it dumbs things down enough that I can literally do this, because I tried using, OBS? Is that what everybody uses? Some software that's open source that you can. I tried it, couldn't figure it out. I said, "Fuck it, I'm never doing a live stream with a guest in my life." And then I found this software, and I said, "I'm in love, because it's written for people. It's software that's compiled for somebody like me."
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure I do a decent job with it, but I'm sure Mike could do an even better job with it, and he's probably just as lacking in skills as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we better call it a. We better call it a.
You can put a wrap here. So
we better call it a wrap. We worked on 2 hours. We got 2 hours here.
2 hours, 2 minutes, and 9 seconds, folks. honestly, this was we came into this with probably about 15 minutes of talking points, and you are the reason why we're doing this, because we are still here. So thank you. It's a new year. So if you enjoyed this in 2020, just think how much greater we're going to be in 2021. We hope. Call it Eric's done. Stick a fork in him. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to have to top off my wine when I get off this show. But
oh boy,
I try not to whine, and when I drink wine. Okay. Again, if you're listening to this later, please subscribe to the channel. Like it if you had a good time, especially on YouTube. Like it on Facebook if you enjoyed it and you're watching on Facebook. Again, it can only help, because we really enjoy your company. We are not medical professionals. COVID is a thing. The immunization is beginning to get out there, but in the meantime, take actions. Use your common sense to protect yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your community. Okay? Because that could be us. I'm at risk, so if you're protecting yourself, maybe you're protecting somebody like me. Be safe, be well. God bless you all. Roll your dice, roll them well. Mike and I will be back next Wednesday, maybe with a special guest who will promise not to molest us on the show.
Hopefully.
That's why we're happy it's virtual. We've got a little distance. And otherwise, knock on wood, I will talk with you all tomorrow. All right, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye. As we take 3 seconds or so.